Hey, so one more video on the factors of Taekwondo and why, excuse me, and why it deserves much fundings and more practitioners and practices. For one, it is a very standardized level system, whereas the white belt to the yellow belt to the orange belt to the green belt, blue belt, brown belt, and then three more pumse up. Then it's a red and black belt for the under 12 years old, or under approximately under 12 years old. And then there is the black belt. And one reason why the children might indicate aggressions with Taekwondo is that they can't explain why they want to achieve a certain level of professional skills or something to develop that professional skills. And given that factor, I think Taekwondo is a sport. It is a conditioning. It is a elevation in the perspective and reasoning for perseverance, endurance, physical attributes, elevation, or just looking more manly. Because I heard that when you exercise, you have a hormone in your body that carries in your bloodstream, and your entire body just feels conditioned to a level, and by level, it's really good. And that is the uniform services standards to be a certain height, to be a certain arm length in ratio, maybe a 1 part 2 and then part 3, or 2.5 part 2.5. Arms length, you can you possibly have a lot of heavy carry on your hands, then that's your arm length. Another reason I think, compared to karate or wrestling or kung fu or Thai boxing, Taekwondo is more distance between the people, between the students, and during sparring, you can always write a letter or your parents' letter, no contact, and only a competition or competitiveness of reflexes. So look at the hand. It's kind of rock, paper, scissors. So is a competitiveness about reflexes, your own flexibilities, and how agile you are, and your tactics to score points or defense, or use your body movement to have a communication and a demonstration or show for your lifelong studies or professional skills developments. The fact that when you get to black belt, you're labeled as a serious human body usage weapon is true, but you don't have to focus on that. I think that number one, it is a adaptive learning or simply learning that when you study and read, you know the focal points and the key points of study paragraph. Or when you're in a conversation and the other party is trying to talk about, talk more and more terminologies and methods to convince you on something, and you mark the key point. So it's sort of TaeKwonDo. That you think the other person wants to accomplish what kind of goals, what kind of profit margins, or what kind of fundings to cover what kind of costs, and you write down the key point, and that's your strike, or that's your block. In prep school, I went to Christian school because I was new, and a lot of many of the private schools, if you didn't invest in the house and bought the house, you have to go to private school instead of public school. And on sports days, we had to wear a coat, C-O-A-T, coat, and business tie for the occasion, and to have a understanding how your classmates perceive you, or your classmates think that you might be a high achiever or have a good luck day at the sports game. And usually when you're wearing suits the day of, the classmates are rather letting you think how to handle that competition, tournament or game or match or a ringside. The fact that Korea, in South Korea and the North Korea, since the 1960s, 1970s, 1980s, had developed more and more corporations and enterprise. For example, the Samsung, LG, the supermarkets, and Kia, the car factories, Hyundai, Hyunsung, Sanyang. I think it is great, just great, because the whole corporate structure of chairman, CEO, directors, president, vice president, investors, and middle managers, and structured teams managers and department managers, and each trainee and interns, fresh from the Korean armed services or uniform services. I believe that it is a very neat portal and result since the 1980s. The fact that Koreans concentrated on cars has saved them so much money in America. A Kia or a Hyundai in Korea was only basic affordability, and within the 2 years or 1 year, the mechanics Yeah. The driving distance were good. Um, the services were good. The contracts were standard, and it's just great looking at the whole history and development. Uh, and Koreans are very respectful towards the elders, and they have higher level of hung, which means the male older brother, or nuna, the older kind of sisterly, sisterly. Yeah. Or and upkeeping the Koreatown and the libraries or the golf courses, or Korean company contacts and things. So I believe that since the 80s, I can't name another nation that might be had excelled in such a fast pace, boom, 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 building up and shaking hands and just having name cards. So I think Korean and the mastery of Taekwondo really enable discipline to people. And depending on your instructor and coaches, of course, then some people might be more aggressive, some people might be more adaptive and mellow. And spending habits, food resources, preserving, the exploration with the discoveries and reports, the standardization of each company's represented Korean Americans were good. Personally, as Chinese and having the underdeveloped country label is obviously third country, but with the third country but developing nation label, I believe that there's so much references and success stories to look into and find the right path. And as a corporate officer and executive, though I'm very protective of my company shares, so I don't have to get the phone calls like, what? You're who? You don't remember last time when I went to your restaurant, I waited how long? That kind of situation. So it is a smart investment, I think, to invest in Korean technologies and things, just to get mindful understanding of their learnings, their lessons, their attributes, and the future plans and budget for commodities and stock holding. So that's how it is. And really, I think that the Taekwondo really deserves a big hand of applause on all their achievements since the 1980s, 1970s, and even before. Their food is very clean. They know how to, the Koreans and us Taekwondo practitioners and students and instructors and spokesperson sometimes, or a witness. It is very interesting that the development and the promotion and the advances are to witness and seeing good results. Alright, so that's all. Today is 2019 March 9th. Alright, so that's good. 감사합니다, and that's good. Hands. That's good. Excuse my shorts.